Redditors that have gone on Tinder dates, what was your worst and weirdest experiences? We went on 3 dates. The next time she asked to see me, I told her I was visiting family and wouldn't be available until the following weekend. In that moment, she freaked out and sent me a 7-page long text about how I destroyed what could have been a perfect relationship and that she wanted to marry me still if I would just put her first. She then left me a voicemail of her singing "You Got It Bad" by Usher while crying and saying she loved me over and over. 2 days later she sent me pictures of her burning a bucket list she had made for us. Glad I got out of that one unscathed. Perfectly nice date. 20 minutes into it, she says, "I'll be honest. I know what I need in a man. And you don't have it." At 25, I would have been crushed. Wondering what it was would have kept me up for days. Being 35, I thanked her for being blunt and was happy to have an unexpectedly free evening. Edit. Thanks for the gold, stranger. I feel like Jill Masterson. I met a girl for a date who turned out to be much better looking than her photos, which is always a nice surprise. The date went well. Just dinner and a walk. And we said our goodbyes. The next day she invited me out to a friend's birthday party downtown as her +1. I wanted to go but I had to work the next day and wanted to be able to drink a little since it was a bunch of people I didn't know. She said that's alright. You can park at my house and sleep over, charging, so. Of course. I said yes. Fast forward to the middle of the party. I'm enjoying myself chatting it up with her friends and having a good time, and next thing I know she absolutely loses it and storms out of the bar, leaving me there. Drunk. With her friends. I still have no idea why. One of them told me she wants you to go after her. And I said duck that. It's our second date. Which not a single person blamed me for. I stayed at the party and switched to water while I continued talking with her friends. That was over a year ago. And I still regularly hang out with them. They have since stopped talking to her. TL. Dr. No 6. But got to keep all her friends. Went to see 50 Shades of Grey. Got a blowy in the parking lot. Got caught by a security guard on a Segway. Ended up with chlamydia. I no longer Tinder. Edit. I didn't know that you could contract it that way either, yet a trip to the clinic proved it to me. Met up for a coffee after having quite a nice chat over Tinder for a few days. He sits down and says, "Hey, nice to meet you." Then continues to pull out his laptop and sit there in complete silence for the next hour. I had nothing with me but my phone. Since I thought coffee date means conversation. Should have left sooner. Edit. Did not expect replies. Went to sleep, sorry 3. She was lying about her age. And wanted a baby. Immediately. Abort. My profile pic is a toilet. The first time I met a girl we actually talked about toilets for an hour. Your pic is a toilet and you got a match. Thanks for rubbing it in. You gotta try. Seriously. The girls go nuts for it. I get tons of matches. Friend from class matched with my then girlfriend, now ex. He informed me of the match and proceeded to set up a coffee date. Instead of him showing up to the date, I did. I had the pleasure of watching my girlfriend freak the duck out. Met one charmer after talking for a few weeks. After agreeing to meet at a nearby coffee shop, I show up right on time. 10 minutes later I get a text from him to come outside. Seems sketchy but there's people about. So why not? I stand directly in front and he appears out of nowhere in a hoodie. We walk a bit before he asks me to walk down a darkly lit street. I say I'm uncomfortable and he immediately starts waking away. I assume he's joking and call him only to hear him screaming at me on the other end. He sends me a text a couple of days later insulting my hair and telling me to suck my big did unique risage. TL. DR guy wanted to dama me then proceeded to call me racist slurs. Thank you. Internet. Only ever went out with one guy I met on Tinder. He was a very popular hipster rich kid that didn't want to be rich dude, and I'm a borderline hood red Latina that grew up in a rough neighborhood. I didn't think we'd hit it off but gave it a shot because he looked like Robert Downey Jr. with lots of tattoos. We ended up having a ton of similar interests and one date became 2. 2 became 3. And 1 month turned into 3 months. Eventually we broke up because he decided to take a job playing his guitar that would let him travel the world. Cue 6 months of weird, but sweet and sappy, and sporadic, love letters, texts, and calls from different locations all over the world. We both ended up moving on with other people. But we still randomly like each other's photos on Instagram and talk very occasionally. His band is playing at Lollapalooza. And he's doing very well for himself. It was the most random, but interesting and only, Tinder experience ever. Recently met this guy on Tinder and been on 3 dates with him. First date went really well until his car got towed. Second date went to his place. Got drunk and banged. Ended up with condom inside. Proceed to freak the duck out and had to go to ER. Third date he got me high for the first time. Got way too high. Freak out again and start pinching his nipple really hard and speaking Thai. He added me on FB after that. 8/10 would go on date again. Not me. But a buddy of mine shacked up with a chick he met through Tinder. The following day he regaled us with the tale of the insane sex he had the night before with her with great detail. Fast forward a week, he now has herpes. Met with a girl who ended up being 16. I was 18 at the time. She told me how on her last date the guy drove her to a secluded area and told her she had to give him head or he won't drive her home, and she asked me not to do that to her. I took her home immediately. Never met another girl online again. She won't stop sending me naked Snapchats. Last 3 weeks, one every day pretty much. I get 4 or 5 non-naked ones a day. I've ignored every one of them. I was drunk and getting over an ex when I went on the date and slept with her. At her house luckily. Don't want her knowing where I live. I told her nicely I didn't want to go out. Then I told her harshly when it didn't stop. I blocked her on WhatsApp and Tinder, but I'm getting naked Snapchats so won't block her on that for a while. Been on a few Tinder dates. Most have been surprisingly decent. The only negative experience I've had so far is a girl who, since briefly texting and realizing we weren't compatible, has just texted me hey just about every day since. I haven't replied for over 3 months. Should block the number already. Edit. Getting lots of replies of people saying I should have said something. Obviously I tried to settle it like a normal person first lol. This is post please don't talk to me anymore messages. I got matched with a friend of mine I was really interested in and everything was really cool. We ended up dating for a couple months after the first night we spent together. Then she slept with one of my best friends. That wasn't really cool. We went out for drinks. Then walked around the park and was an enjoyable date. I took her home and parked next to her apt. She said I shouldn't park there because I'll get towed. I said I only need 3 minutes to walk you to your door. She said seriously? You should park in visitor since you can stay all night and not get towed. I responded that I only need 3 minutes to walk you to your door. I am not a smart man. Already mentioned it in another thread with a similar question. But I had a date with this guy who apparently didn't have the guts to approach me and ask me something along the lines of hey. Instead, he took a picture of me from afar and sent it to me via Messenger, asking if I'm the person in that pic. Met at a coffee shop. She's there early. I order my drink. Sit down. She looks at me and this is her first sentence. Let's cut to the chase. I need a father for my 4 sons. I got up and left. I remember seeing this post on our Tinder a couple of weeks ago where the guy got matched with a girl who wanted him to pay for 6 at first. Then she changes her mind about wanting money and wanted to have someone else from Tinder pay her to watch them have sex. All he had to do was come and bring her flowers. The whole interaction is really strange and luckily the OP was just messing with her and did not go through with it. Because he most likely would have gotten robbed. Everything seemed normal until about 45 minutes in, when she decided to tell me all about the time she was kidnapped and all the associated lingering psychological issues still present within the first hour of meeting. I remind you, my first date with this guy would have been his cat's funeral. Luckily I had the common sense not to take it that far. I had matched with a guy and we began to be hitting it off. So I gave him my cell number. And of course he became increasingly strange. He was telling me about his cat and how he was worried about her because she was very ill. Okay, I understand having a sick pet is sad. Then he began to tell me about their relationship and how she was always there for him. Yup, I'm close to my animals too, that's fine. But then he began discussing how he doesn't know what to do if his cat dies. How he might heal himself unless I would be willing to take his cat's place. No. After that I stopped talking to him. He then started messaging me furiously. He told me how his cat died and he needs me to talk him through this. I express my condolences and try to shake him off. He then proceeds to explain how we should meet at his cat's funeral. I don't respond. I didn't intend on becoming a skin suit anytime soon. His last text to me was an angry ramble describing in graphic detail how it was to eat his cat's ashes. He consumed his cat. Edit. I come back days later. And this blew up. I wish this didn't happen, but it did. Unfortunately. I would link a screenshot, but I deleted my Tinder after I met my current boyfriend. We talked for a while about our families and I mentioned both my brothers were mentally handicapped and I've worked with people like them to help better their lives. She said I was a really sweet guy for doing that and devoting my time. Then she told me people like my brothers should be euthanized as kids so they can't be a burden on their families or society. Long story short, I'm banned from Panera. Not an awful date. But after I told him I wasn't interested in pursuing it further, he insisted that I left my socks at his place and I had to get them because they look like really nice socks and I'm sure you would want them back. This went on for several days. Edit. Obviously it was a weird ploy to get me back to his house. I just think he could have thought of something way better. I mean, it was winter so clearly I put my socks and shoes back on before leaving. Swiped left on a girl 3 times until I saw her the 4th time and matched. I don't know how she kept appearing after swiping her. She then started sending me messages about my personal life and only stuff close family would know. Creeped the freak out of me. I quickly unmatched her, as that shoot was too creepy for me. Not exactly what you asked for, but still a weird Tinder story. I once went on a date with a woman who claimed she hadn't smoked weed since like 8th grade. Because once she started getting into coke, what was the point, but now she was smoking to help with the nausea because her shrinks put her on lithium. Was a lot of info for the 3rd sentence of a date. She tried to sell me insurance over dinner. She had a full pitch prepared and even insulted me for choosing my current provider. I split the check and then I split. Went on a date with a woman to pub where, during the conversation we had, she wanted to take a picture of my driver's license to send and show to her sister via text. 2 minutes later, the woman brought up my DUI I had 5 years ago. Her sister did a criminal background check on me. 1.5 hours into the date. Edit. Grammar. Started talking to a girl. She started talking sexual rather quick. I got her number and we started talking some more. She tells me that she needs some ASAP and to drive out to her place. Now she lives like an hour away and girls don't normally talk to me like this. So I think to myself, is this a setup? So before I make any hasty choices, I buy myself some time by telling her I had to work and that I'd be available the following night. Fast forward to the next day and I get a text from some dude asking if I knew the girl. I said yes. So then he says, we lime her BF, I hope you enjoyed ducking her, but that'll be your last time. I informed him that I never met her and had I known she had a man I wouldn't have spoken to her. That tells me, oh well, that's cool. When we fight she always gets drunk and tries to duck someone off of Tinder. I told him that she sounds like a keeper.